Terrific. So Ed, you are all set. The script is right there.
Perfect. Good afternoon. The time is now 4:04, and I'm calling to order the Aberdeen Architectural Conservation District Commission, April 13th, 2025. Oh, I believe, February 13th, 2025 public hearing. Commissioners present are Helen Pillsbury, Kirsten Hoffman, and myself, Ed Bredenberg. Today, the Commission will be holding a public hearing to review applications in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the March 29th, 2023 amendment extending the suspension of these provisions until March 31st, 2025. We are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Aberdeen Architectural Conservation District Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. This hearing is being recorded. All further conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing has adjourned. Are there any media or elected officials currently present? If so, please state your name, title, and affiliation.
Okay, not seeing anyone raising their hand. If you're affiliated with any of the elected officials' office, just raise your hand. We'll unmute you. Or media. Final warning. Okay, Ed, doesn't look like anyone's raised their hand, so we can move on.
Perfect. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. We'll repeat these instructions throughout the hearing.
Terrific. Good job, Ed. Okay, so the first application we have for today, and only application we have for today, is 137 Englewood Avenue. That's application 250498. Is there a member representing this application? Just raise your hand. There's Jordan. Unmute. And I see you, Brett. Brett, I got you unmuted too. Jordan, can you speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Perfect. And also with us is Carl Taylor from Tree Tech as well, just so you're aware.
Terrific. Okay. So go ahead, Jordan, just explain what needs to happen, or whoever's going to speak, explain what's going on at the property, and we'll get you taken care of.
Yeah, so as you can see from the photo, there are two larger trees that they are looking to take down. They do need to replace this retaining wall that's in the front of the building. And they have stated that those trees would have to go in order to do this. And I'll also open it up to Carl if he has anything that he wants to add about those trees.
Just quickly, they are both Norway maples. They're in a limited soil volume, and they are pushing on the wall.
Carl, it's my understanding that Norway maples are not native to New England, and in fact, they are invasive. Is that true?
They are considered invasive in Massachusetts, correct?
Thank you.
So are the trees that are being removed, is it one on the left and one on the right, or is it both of the ones that we're seeing from this view, the sort of front and then the one that's closer to the building?
I think there was one on either side of the stairs, right?
So the two that are closest to the street, that are kind of right up against the wall?
There's one on either side of the stairway. The one that you're seeing closest to us in the picture, I am actually myself, I'm on the board, excuse me. So I'll just tell you that that's why I'm here on the board at Englewood Heights. The one that's closest to us in the picture, I'm not clear on whether we're being asked or told that that one needs to come down or not. I assume that it does. But the real troublesome ones are, yeah, that's a good view right there. The real troublesome ones are the ones that are on either side of the stairway. Those are the ones that are really pushing out on the wall.
Perfect. That's a better view. Thank you so much.
And so does the retaining wall, you're saying the retaining wall actually needs to be rebuilt. Is that like structurally threatened in some ways, or is it because of the trees that it needs to be rebuilt?
It's believed that, sorry, Brett.
Go for it, Jordan.
No, I was just gonna say, we definitely, the roots I don't think are helping the retaining wall, so it's just pushing out. And as you can see, the one on the left side, it's definitely leaning more, which is just adding more pressure to the wall. So that's what they're thinking.
the wall on the left has developed several cracks in it a little further to the left in this picture than we're looking right now, so you can't see them from this view, but and is sort of bulging out, leaning out a couple of inches into the sidewalk. Our engineers are telling us that that left side definitely needs to be poured and reconstructed, that left side of the wall, that the right is okay enough to stay as it is, but feels that we need to take out that tree on the right to prevent the same thing from happening on the right side over the next few years.
So would you be doing this project all at once, or you might delay the right side, or you're just looking at going forward with the whole project at this time?
I think we're looking at just reconstructing the left side of the wall and leaving the right side for the moment, since it's not collapsing, it's not under the same stress that the left is. And of course, the left we would do to match the right, exactly.
Including the cap on top of the wall. Or it looks like it might even be just kind of like a simulated.
I think it's concrete also. Yeah, we would want it to be exactly the same as the other side. We want the
So this
building
actually is, I'm sorry. This actually is not right now an application for replacing the wall. Is that correct, Nick? This is just about the trees right now?
Yeah, the application was applied as removal of trees for the next step of replacing the retaining wall.
So then they'll come back with that application.
That was our intentions, yes.
Because that would need to be reviewed, but that my understanding is that's not actually part of this application right now.
Okay.
So I guess, I mean, you know, it's obviously it's unfortunate to have to lose any trees, but ones that are as mature and, you know, substantial as these are, you know, it certainly seems like a shame. We hate losing any greenery, but it seems like there really are structural reasons why that needs to be done. So I want to ask you, Nick, would you recommend that we approve just the left tree right now, or do you, I mean, I saw your staff notes that you concur, you've been on the site visit and concur that the trees do need to be removed, at least, you know, that there was that structural integrity being threatened or challenged by the root system. So would you recommend just accepting the application as it is, or should we approve?
Yeah. So, it's
wait a few, and you don't want to wait till something is really in structurally so threatened that it's dangerous that that whole retaining wall would fall forward or something, or, you know, disintegrate.
Yeah.
So just your thought on the best approach.
Great question, Helen. So it's my recommendation to remove both of the trees immediately. You know, I think there would have been some debate here if these trees were native to New England, but also the fact that they are an invasive tree. It's probably best that they come down. You know, we are charged with making sure that we're maintaining the character of the community. However, these trees are actually doing damage to the historic resources surrounding the property. So it is my recommendation that both trees are removed. I would recommend, and this might be where Carl could make some recommendations here. The city does have a list of approved street trees, but perhaps Carl could recommend a species to replace these trees once the deck or once the walls are rebuilt or made structurally sound again. Trees that would have roots that would not impede or alter or inhibit. Sorry, I'm a little distracted today. That would do any damage to the foundation of the building or the replaced retaining wall.
Right. I mean, that's exactly the recommendation that I was going to make. Just look at a root within that list of recommended trees. Look at a root system that's doesn't spread as far if possible. I guess the advantage of doing both at the same time is then you could plant two trees of the same species at the same time.
Yep.
That would be
the same age,
about the same size and would grow, you know, kind of concurrently with each other. You have that symmetry. So from
Yeah.
that point of view, it makes sense just to go forward even with the right hand.
Yeah.
So
It-
is that there's sort of that third tree that's on the left, that's sort of to the left of the biggest tree.
Yeah.
Is that the same type of tree? Is that going to be problematic in the future, or is that one okay?
It is also a Norway maple. I would recommend to remove all three and maybe plant 3 trees along the front that would match, as well as I don't think a shade tree is what you guys or what they would want in this kind of area. It's narrow, and it whatever large shade tree, you know, whether it's an oak or a maple native to Mass, it's going to fill this and eventually do that. So I would say maybe something a little smaller, maybe something a flowering, something to add maybe some color to the neighborhood.
You know, one of the tasks that our commission is tasked with is to you know, maintain this kind of garden neighborhood that the neighborhood currently has. Are there any trees, and then also, you know, as a city, we're trying to reduce our urban heat island effect. Are there any trees that could have any sort of canopy over the sidewalk as well as the staircase to kind of reduce that impact that you would recommend, Carl? You know, would something like not a Norway maple, a Japanese maple or something to that effect? You know,
Yeah, I mean, a Japanese maple left for time can become big enough to do some shading. It's a little bit slower of a growing tree.
Right.
I'd have to look at the list that you guys have. And I'm certain there's probably at least one species on there that would check the boxes and be fine in that area.
Well,
Nick,
actually,
you had mentioned to me two that were interesting, and I wonder what Carl thinks. You mentioned a silver maple, and then you mentioned honey locust as being possibly good choices.
I would say honey locust over silver maple. The problem with silver maple is a lot of times it's a multi-stem tree, and those structurally are a little weaker. So having a multi-stem tree over a public way, probably not the best. But like a honey locust is a good strong tree. It's a pretty common street tree in Boston. I see them all over.
And it's a deciduous. It changes color in the fall, so we'd still have that.
Yeah, it's kind of a lighter green leaf during the summer, and it like turns a little more yellow. So it's not a dramatic change, but it does change. Yep.
And what is its root system in terms of like how much it spreads or needs to be able to spread or have outgrowth from? I
would have to actually look at that. I'm not 100% sure on the roots for that, but you know, I just think something that's not going to be as large so root zones are usually a ratio of canopy, right? So the bigger the canopy, the bigger the root zone. So if you're picking a tree that at mature is 40 feet, is going to have a smaller root zone than a tree that is 100 feet, you know? So it's kind of like a ratio thing. So, but I'm sure, you know, looking through, I mean, there's quite a few on the list here. So I'm sure we can find things like, I mean, crab apples will shade the sidewalk because you're already almost 5 or 6 feet up. So the canopy can spread out. You know, when you have an ornamental at street level, you have to do a lot of raising and pruning, so it's not poking people in the face. But where this is starting above people, you could essentially use a smaller max height tree to achieve kind of the same as you would with a shade tree from the ground.
Do those ever cause trouble with the crab apples falling on the sidewalk, or?
No, I mean, crab apples are pretty bulletproof generally. Englewood takes care of their trees. Like I mean, in the time that I've worked with them, they constantly are pruning and maintaining stuff, especially those maples out front. We've done some pretty vigorous pruning to reduce weight and help airflow. So they do take care of their plants. It's not like they're just going to plant something and let it go.
just to add to the tenor of the conversation, I just want you to know that as a member of the board, we are not and were not and are not eager to take down these trees. In fact, all the members of the board of trustees are practically weeping over the loss of these trees. We don't want them to go, not because we don't want to, not because of Aberdeen, whatever, but just even for our own selves, for our own building and for the beauty that they lend to our building. We've just been told that the one, especially on the left, is leaning now so far forward that some of the engineers are telling us that it's at a risk of, you know, if let's say a heavy snow or a heavy rain or winds or whatever, of coming down into the street. So it's with a great deal of regret that we lose those trees, and I look forward to as swift a replacement as we can possibly accomplish.
So I'm wondering if a way forward would be to work with both the property manager, the board, if the commission would make a recommendation for the board with the property manager and in collaboration with Carl, who could give his professional opinion, select a tree that would be best for this location that would provide some shade and reducing the urban heat island effect. We could make our approval contingent on that. It does sound like this would be kind of a democratic process, which we always like, especially if the owners are really upset to lose these trees. Maybe leave it in their hands, but have some parameters around that recommendation. So I don't know, that might be a recommendation for a motion, Ed.
Would it be more preferable to have a motion to have it come back to the commission, or have them work with staff to find a suitable replacement?
We could have them kind of report back to staff. It's up to you. So I could take that off of your hands and say, yes, if you want to, they can report to staff. It would save them some time, so they don't have, because we do have our hearing schedule that we need to get information in on time. So if you're comfortable for that, of course, everything's your decision. You can certainly remand the details to staff, but say, you know, the approval is contingent on the species selected by both the property manager, the board, and at the consultation of the tree experts, such as Carl.
Helen and Kirsten, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea because, you know, I totally understand the trustees' point of view. I mean, part of the reason that landscapes are part of the Aberdeen district is because of the importance of the topography and the landscapes that we have here. So any mature tree, we're always sorry to see removed, and only acquiesce to it when it does seem like you have to always take structural issues and safety into consideration. It's not just a matter of aesthetics. So I think to make it more like Nick said, more a democratic process, let those owners have some say in what happens to their own property.
Yeah. I also want to acknowledge. Yeah, I also want to acknowledge and thank the board and the property manager for coming to us, because we've had some challenges with other property owners.
Yeah.
So it's very much appreciated that they understand the rules and regs, and they have reached out. So just a little kind of note there.
So should we put forth a recommendation to approve the removal of the trees, and then the board and the arborist will work with staff to find a suitable replacement?
I
Sounds like a
second
great
that.
motion. Yeah.
Oh, we need to do public comment, right?
We do, yeah. So let's back up 1 second. Is there any public comment? So if you have a public comment and you're here for that, simply raise your hand in the app and I will unmute you. Okay, seeing none. I also don't have any written public comments. Let me just actually double check that, make sure none have come in. Seeing no public comments. So yeah, if we want to go ahead and just restate that motion.
And would you just add to that? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you just add to that also that in their consideration, they look at a root system that, I mean, I know they would do this anyway, but it just seems good to have documented a root system that that will, be less invasive or less, have less radius or
Of
whatever.
course, yeah. So I'd like to put forth a recommendation that we move forward and approve the removal of the trees, and that the board and the arborist will work with staff to look at options that will be aesthetically pleasing, fit with the look of the neighborhood, and have root systems that are less invasive to prevent this from happening in the future.
And provide shade, maybe?
And provide shade, and green for the street.
Nick, I just want to clarify that this is just for these two trees that have been identified. Like a couple seconds ago, I forget which person among the applicants, it might have been the arborist, stated that he thinks that third tree should also be removed. But right now, that is not part of this application. Is that correct?
Let me just see. Let me just see how it's worded. It says removal of trees. And I think, honestly, Helen, that one doesn't look too good anyway. Let me just bring that back up. Am I showing my screen? Yeah. Oh, that's why I'm not. There we go. So, yeah, this looks kind of, and this, mind you, this is from 2022. So this is probably worse now.
I mean, the agenda says removal of two trees. I just think if we're going to allow that third tree, we need to be explicit about that now, so that it's, to me, it should either be included or not included, not a gray area.
If you're comfortable with it, we could recommend that, but we could also have them come back if they want to. We could give them a consultation now, and they can submit it, and I can put it through under administrative review. It's up to you. If you feel it.
What do you think, Ed and Christian?
I agree with Helen that the application says the two trees. That's kind of why I was asking about it before, because that is a third tree. So if we could do it as a future administrative review, then that way we know that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's the way we approach it. So would you be okay? I mean, it doesn't look like this tree is, I mean, it looks like this is, of all of them, this is the worst one. So we could just approach it that way if you're comfortable with that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just not sure if it's possible for the builders, the engineers, contractors, whatever, to build that left side of the wall with that third tree there. But I guess that's for a future meeting or a future.
So they're giving the concept, Brett, great question. Thank you. They're giving the recommendation that when a new application is submitted, we could review it administratively, meaning staff would determine if the application is complete, and you would not have to come to a hearing to defend it. So,
Okay.
I mean, that could be submitted for the March hearing.
yes.
I mean, you're probably not like completing this work between now and March 13th.
Probably not.
Yeah. So bottom line is it would be reviewed administratively, and you would not be required to return to the March hearing. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I think the motion still stands. Was there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have 3 ayes.
Perfect. Okay. Jordan, Brett, Carl, thank you so much for your help. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you.
Go to
This 250530.
okay. So let's see. So this is the administrative review. Unfortunately, because we do not have a quorum at this time, we cannot vote on this application because Helen actually lives in this building and it would be a conflict of interest. So what we'll do is we will place this agenda item on the Boston Landmarks Commission agenda. That's going to be posted this week, and then we'll take care of them through that agenda. And I do understand that this is an emergency issue, and I can work with the applicant to come up with an emergency plan of action so to prevent any further damage. So we will not take a vote on administrative review simply because, at the advice of our counsel, we do not have a quorum at this time. So we'll kind of skip this one, or we will skip this one, sorry. And then the last item for you to vote on will be the ratification of
Now,
the
can I just ask a question about that?
Yes, please, yeah.
Oh, so will you get in touch with the applicant
Yes.
to let them know? And when you say put on the BLC, I looked at their schedule. There's a here on February 25th. But that's a design review. Would that be allowed to be on that agenda?
Because it's I think it's administrative is also reviewed on that, right, Kirsten? I think so.
Yeah, it'll either be on the design review or it'll be after. It can be any agenda item. The design review just comes first.
Okay, so that could be on the February 25th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Now the ratification of the December 12th, 2024 public hearing minutes.
Would anyone like to put forward a motion to ratify the public hearing minutes from
I'll make
this?
a motion to ratify the December 12th minutes.
Second.
And perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect. Okay. Quick staff updates. So there are 2 new landmarks. Finally, City Hall is an official Boston landmark. So that is now official, and it is with the powers that be. So going forward, all changes to Boston City Hall, including several of the interior spaces, including the main lobby, the transactional space, and parts of the mayor's office and city council chambers will all be under the Landmarks Commission purview. The Jewelers Building, I think I mentioned this last time, but just in case I didn't, because it's such a spectacular building. The Jewelers Building is now also a landmark. That's over on Washington Street in downtown Crossing. If you've never seen it or haven't noticed it, I encourage you to do so. It's a beautiful building, and I'm so happy it's being saved. Especially because there are some big plans for that block coming up in the future. So we'll have some say over how the Jewelers Building is integrated into that design. And then we have our new deputy director who was just recently hired, Liz Sherva. She starts in March, and Liz is great. She actually comes from the state working for the Commonwealth. So she'll be coming down to the local side. And she has a number of years of experience in preservation. So she will be an amazing asset to the team, and we're super excited to have her. So she'll be ready to go on March 2nd around that date. So fun things happening here at the Landmarks Commission. All right, cool. And that's it. That's all I have. So that's a nice quick meeting tonight.
Perfect.
We just need a motion to adjourn.
Would anybody like to put forth a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
I
motion.
will. Oh, okay. I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Terrific. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. You did a great job, Ed. You're a natural.
Thank you, Ed.
I don't know about that,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
You
Thank
too. See you next
Bye.
month.